Michael Cahir. I just want to ask the Minister to inform us the overall expenditure for the Roscommon Galway constituency in relation to flood relief works in 2016. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you. The Office of Public Works has spent €1.8 million on capital flood relief activities in counties Galway and Roscommon in 2016. And I have the table set out here, which I'll read it out to you, Deputy. Clare Galway Flood Relief Scheme, €1,165,722. Dunkellen Flood Relief Scheme, €427,188. Ballycolgan, €22,318. Deer Park, Ballinasloe, €19,000. Ardacong, €9,000. Crofwell Minor Works, €9,000. Gart Minor Works, €18,000. Grana Minor Works, €5,400. Kinvara, €13,500. Baha, Tuam, €14,220. Parker Curry, Monivea, €11,700. Manus-Flynn, €10,350. Ballinasloe Town Minor Works, €96,849. And the River Jiggy Minor Works, which is in Roscommon, €6,548. Apart from Ballycolgan, which was the works were carried out directly by the OPW, all other works were carried out, funded by the OPW and carried out by the local authorities under the Minor Works Scheme and Coastal Protection Scheme. And it's in relation to works which have been, the list I have given you of what has been carried out. In relation to the table of minor works, the amounts shown are the amounts of money that have been drawn down by the local authorities in 2016 in respect of each project. There are further amounts approved by the OPW in 2016 for other minor work schemes, for which the local authorities have not yet requested a drawdown. And I have also given details of all these minor projects in a tabulated form as well. In addition to the above capital expenditure, the OPW undertakes maintenance of its arterial drainage schemes throughout the country. The schemes where maintenance would have been carried out in 2016, which would have affected Galway and Roscommon, include the Corrib-Clare, Corrib-Hetford, Boyle, Knockcrockery and Clymer drainage schemes. However, it is not possible to break down these expenditures on a county-by-county basis.
Thank you, Minister. I thank the Minister for a very detailed response there, but I must point out that Clare Galway is not in the Roscommon Galway constituency, Dunkellen is not in the Roscommon Galway constituency, Crockwell, Gort, Kinvara, Monivea is not in the Roscommon Galway constituency, and I do acknowledge it's part of your own East Galway constituency, but we're talking here about Roscommon Galway. I do acknowledge, and you are correct to say there was money spent on the Jiggy River in Roscommon and indeed Ballinasloe. I want to point out to the Minister that Roscommon County Council sent estimates into the department last year to repair the damage done by those appalling floods. The estimate was €11 million. And while I do acknowledge that in total €6.3 or €4 million was allocated from the department, that left Roscommon County Council €5 million short to repair works that was carried out by the floods. And to date, that money to carry out that extra work has not come. So it's really essential that in 2017 we get that money. And by the way, as of yesterday I was told by Roscommon County Council there is no money available for houses, for residents that houses are threatened by flooding. We're almost flooded and some of them were flooded last year. So I think it's so essential and so important that we reflect on that and get that extra money into the constituency of Roscommon Galway.
Thank you, Deputy. And Thomas Dodge.
Yeah, I think for the Roscommon, I think the reply you rightly said is for counties Galway and counties Roscommon. But I think when you see the breakdown in the tabulated form, you can see exactly where the money was spent in each area. I would also point out that in Roscommon County Council, there's probably about 15 projects here which I haven't mentioned, which have been funded, for which the County Council have yet to draw down the funding. So I would suspect that these works are ongoing and are being carried out at the moment. You mentioned if there's any other minor works that have been applied for, they're in the system. If they meet the criteria and they meet the cost benefit, they will be funded as a matter of course. There is no. I've written to the local authorities, including Roscommon, urging them to send in applications for funding, because the funding is there to deal with that. If there's any particular project that hasn't been funded, the reason is because it hasn't reached the criteria for assessment, and it's not refused, but the local authorities have been asked to reassess that to see if they can make it work within the criteria.
Thank you, Minister.
I acknowledge your response.
Doctor.
I acknowledge what you say about the reply going back for Roscommon and County Galway, but the constituency is Roscommon Galway, and as I said, Dunkellen, Clare Galway, Crockwell, Cork are outside that area, but I accept the point you're making. I would be very anxious to find out those 15 schemes that Roscommon County Council obviously haven't looked for funding for yet, that may be ongoing. That's what you said, isn't it? And if that is there, we need to get that sorted out as quickly as possible. But the main point I want to make, that the damage done, and those were serious floods, and I have to acknowledge, Minister, you've come to the constituency, you have engaged, you have listened, you have spoken, you have never refused to take my calls or have a meeting with me on these issues. The damage done in that Roscommon Galway constituency, particularly Roscommon, was in excess of 11 million. What we have got to date is 6.4, 6.5 million. In other words, I'm told by the engineers in Roscommon there's already a deficit of 5 million. Now, the government have had one very good friend over the past 8 or 9 months. That's fine weather. But if we had got bad floods the last winter, or if we get this spring, we're going to be in dire straits. So I would appeal to you, Minister, to use every avenue open to you to get that money that is needed to repair damage that was done last year.
Thank you, Deputy. That is Dodge. Final reply.
Just the list of projects for which the Roscommon County Council have not requested funding. They have been approved, but they haven't requested the funding to be drawn down. That's in the reply. And secondly, just say, I think some of what you're talking about in terms of damage being done might be funding that they would have applied for, not to my department, but to maybe the Department of Transport for road repairs, and likewise, or to the local Department of Local Government for other repairs. It wouldn't be my department. Anything that comes to my department is for flood relief works, and they are being dealt with as quickly as possible. And as I say, there are 12 schemes there which have been approved, for which the County Council haven't drawn down yet. You have that information.
Thank you, Minister. And we now